My beloved child, stop for one quiet moment, because what you are about to hear was never meant to arrive by accident. Something has shifted beyond what your eyes can currently explain, and the person who lives closest to your heart has been trying, in their own silent way, to place a message in front of you. Not through coincidence. Not through chance. Through moments you almost ignored. Through feelings you could never fully name. Stay with this for a little longer, because the first piece of this story changes everything that follows. There comes a rare moment in life when invisible threads begin pulling two paths toward the same destination. Most people mistake that feeling for imagination. They dismiss the unusual calm after confusion, the sudden memory that appears without warning, or the strange certainty that arrives in the middle of an ordinary day. But what if those moments were never random? What if they were fragments of a message waiting to become complete? Imagine discovering that someone important has been searching for the right words while believing you would never understand them. That possibility alone has the power to rewrite an entire future. Pause for a second and ask yourself this: why has one particular thought refused to leave your mind? Why does one face continue returning even when life offers countless distractions? Sometimes the heart notices movement long before the mind accepts it. Sometimes change begins quietly, without applause, without dramatic announcements. And that is exactly why so many people miss the biggest turning points of their lives. They expect thunder while destiny often whispers. The message you are hearing now is not about rushing toward answers. It is about recognizing that something meaningful has already begun. Somewhere, a realization has taken place. A conversation, whether spoken aloud or held silently within someone's heart, has reached a point where pretending is no longer as easy as before. That does not mean everything changes overnight. It means the first door has quietly opened, and once a door opens, possibilities that once seemed impossible begin looking surprisingly close. Think about the seasons of your own life. There were moments when everything appeared delayed, yet later you realized those delays protected something valuable. What if this moment carries the same hidden purpose? What if the waiting itself has been preparing both of you to understand what neither could have understood before? The greatest transformations rarely arrive while people are looking directly at them. They arrive while patience is quietly doing its work. Listen carefully, because this is where the story becomes even more unusual. The person you care about has reached a point where silence feels heavier than words. Inside them, perspectives have been shifting one after another, almost like pieces of a puzzle finally finding their places. They have started seeing connections that once escaped them. Small memories now carry unexpected meaning. Ordinary moments suddenly appear extraordinary. And with every realization, one question grows stronger: what happens if I wait any longer? That question changes everything. Not because it guarantees immediate action, but because awareness always comes before movement. Every meaningful decision begins with a single moment of truth, and truth has a remarkable habit of growing stronger every day it is acknowledged. Perhaps you've also felt an unexplainable pull recently, a quiet sense that something important was approaching without knowing exactly what. Those feelings are often overlooked because they don't arrive with loud announcements. They arrive gently, asking only one thing: your attention. Don't rush away just yet. The next chapter reveals why this message became so urgent, what unexpected discovery changed the direction of this story, and why the timing of hearing these words today may matter far more than you realize. When that hidden piece is revealed, everything you've heard so far will begin fitting together in a way you never expected. A quiet realization is unfolding. And this is where the story begins to reveal why the message could no longer remain unspoken. What happened was not one dramatic event, but a chain of moments that slowly uncovered a truth impossible to ignore. The person you love reached a point where every distraction lost its power. The noise faded. The uncertainty weakened. And in that silence, one thought continued returning with remarkable clarity: you. Imagine standing at the edge of a familiar road and suddenly noticing a path that had always been there, hidden in plain sight. That is exactly what this realization felt like. Things that once seemed ordinary started carrying unexpected meaning. A forgotten conversation echoed differently. A memory once dismissed as insignificant suddenly became unforgettable. Even the smallest details began connecting like stars, forming a constellation that had been invisible until now. Stay with this thought, because the next few moments may explain feelings you have struggled to describe. There are times when people spend so much energy searching for certainty that they overlook the quiet evidence already surrounding them. The person you care about began seeing that evidence one piece at a time. Instead of asking, "What if this never works?" a new question slowly took its place: "What if I have been looking at everything the wrong way?" That single question changed the direction of their thinking. It wasn't pressure that transformed them. It wasn't outside influence. It was perspective. Perspective has a remarkable way of turning hesitation into curiosity and curiosity into courage. Once someone begins seeing the truth through a clearer lens, old fears start losing their grip. The walls built from doubt become smaller than the possibilities waiting beyond them. Now ask yourself something honestly. Have you ever felt that life was preparing you for a conversation that hadn't happened yet? As if every challenge, every unanswered question, every unexpected delay was quietly shaping you for one defining moment? Sometimes preparation feels exactly like waiting. Yet waiting is often where the strongest foundations are built. The person you love has begun recognizing that every chapter, both joyful and difficult, was teaching something essential. They started understanding that meaningful connections are rarely measured by constant communication. They are measured by the lasting impact someone leaves behind, even during silence. That understanding became impossible to ignore. And once a truth becomes impossible to ignore, it naturally seeks expression. Before we continue, if this story resonates with your heart, consider sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective may encourage someone else who needs these words today. And if you enjoy journeys like this, subscribing helps you stay connected for the chapters still ahead. But don't leave now, because the most surprising part has not yet been revealed. The urgency behind this message was never about panic. It was about timing. There are opportunities that arrive quietly, asking only to be noticed. Miss them, and life still moves forward. But recognize them, and an entirely new direction can begin. The person you love has started realizing that some moments cannot be postponed forever. Every passing day has made one realization stronger than the last, Honesty creates possibilities that silence never can. You may not see every piece today. Neither do they. Yet something has undeniably shifted. The distance between uncertainty and understanding is becoming smaller with every passing moment. The pieces are aligning in ways neither of you could have predicted. And in the next chapter, you'll discover the unexpected realization that made everything suddenly feel different, a revelation that transformed hesitation into hope and made this message impossible to keep hidden any longer. Stay until the next part, because that's where the hidden connection finally begins to make sense. Everything changes from this point. Because the hidden piece of the story is finally ready to reveal itself. Until now, you've only seen the quiet signals, the subtle shifts, and the growing awareness. But what happened next was the moment everything started connecting in a way neither of you could have expected. Stay with this until the final sentence of this chapter. You may discover why this message reached you exactly when it did. The person you love didn't suddenly become a different person. Instead, they began seeing the same story through completely different eyes. The questions that once filled their minds slowly gave way to something stronger than certainty itself: clarity. And clarity has an incredible power. It doesn't force answers, it gently removes the fog until the path ahead becomes impossible to miss. Picture the first light of dawn after a long night. The landscape hasn't changed overnight, yet everything looks different because the light has arrived. That is what happened within them. Old assumptions faded. New understanding appeared. They realized that some of the moments they once overlooked were actually the moments that mattered most. Think about your own journey. How many times have you looked back and realized that the smallest events became the biggest turning points? A single conversation. A brief smile. An unexpected delay. At the time, they seemed ordinary. Later, they became the reason everything else unfolded the way it did. Life often writes its greatest chapters in whispers before anyone notices the story has begun. And perhaps that is why this message feels so familiar. Somewhere inside, you've sensed that something meaningful was approaching. You couldn't explain it, but you couldn't ignore it either. That quiet feeling wasn't asking you to predict the future, it was inviting you to stay open to it. Here's the remarkable part. The person you love has begun valuing authenticity more than perfect timing. They have discovered that genuine connections are not built through flawless moments but through honest ones. The pressure to have every answer has slowly disappeared. In its place has come a simple realization: meaningful steps begin with truthful intentions, not perfect circumstances. That realization carries extraordinary potential. Because once someone chooses honesty over hesitation, possibilities that seemed distant begin moving closer. Doors that looked permanently closed reveal themselves to have been only gently waiting to be opened. What once felt complicated begins unfolding with surprising simplicity. So if you've been wondering whether every unanswered question has a purpose, consider this. Perhaps the purpose was never to keep you waiting. Perhaps it was to prepare you to recognize the moment when everything finally starts making sense. And that moment may be far closer than you imagine. Before this chapter ends, remember one thing. The most meaningful stories are rarely rushed. They unfold one page at a time, allowing every lesson, every pause, and every unexpected turn to shape the ending into something far greater than either person could have planned. The message that seemed impossible to deliver has now found its direction. The silence that once separated understanding from action has begun to fade. And as this story moves into its next chapter, one final revelation remains, a discovery that brings every clue, every quiet sign, and every unexpected feeling together into one unforgettable conclusion. When that final piece is revealed, you'll understand why this message could never have arrived a moment too early, or a moment too late. The final piece is here, and if you've stayed this far, you've already done something many people never do. You chose to listen beyond the obvious. Now the story reaches the place where every quiet clue, every unexpected feeling, and every unanswered question begins to form one complete picture. What happened was never about a single dramatic moment. It was about awakening. The person you love reached a point where they finally understood that some connections cannot be measured by time alone. They are measured by growth, by perspective, and by the courage to see what has been quietly present all along. The realization did not arrive with loud celebrations. It arrived with peace, a kind of peace that only appears when confusion finally steps aside. Imagine looking at thousands of scattered pieces of glass. Alone, they seem meaningless. But when light shines through them at the perfect angle, they become a breathtaking mosaic. That is what this journey has been. Every delay, every unexpected turn, every unanswered question has been shaping a picture that neither of you could fully recognize until now. And perhaps that is why you found this message today. Not because fate demanded it. Not because someone else decided it. But because every experience you've had has prepared you to hear these words with different eyes and a different heart. Take this thought with you. The future is not written by fear. It is written by the choices made after understanding arrives. Every new day offers another opportunity to become a little wiser, a little kinder, and a little braver than the day before. That is where extraordinary stories begin, not in certainty, but in willingness. If these words have stayed with you, I'd love to know what part spoke to your heart the most. Feel free to share your thoughts below, and if you enjoy thoughtful journeys like this, subscribing simply means we can continue exploring more stories together. Before we part, hear this final line carefully. Never underestimate the quiet moments. The biggest transformations often begin when nothing appears to be happening. Seeds grow beneath the surface long before anyone sees a flower. Rivers carve mountains through patience rather than force. The strongest chapters of life are often being written while the world believes the page is still blank. So move forward with confidence. Carry hope instead of doubt. Choose awareness instead of fear. Let every challenge become another step toward wisdom. And remember this: whenever life feels uncertain, the most meaningful messages don't always arrive with noise. Sometimes they arrive softly, asking only for an open mind and a willing heart. This story ends here, but your next chapter is still unwritten. The choices you make, the perspective you keep, and the hope you refuse to lose will shape everything that comes next. Until the next message, keep believing that every meaningful journey begins with one moment of attention, and every remarkable ending starts with the courage to keep moving forward. One last reflection. Because some stories do not truly end when the final words are spoken. They continue quietly within the person who heard them. If you've reached this moment, then perhaps this message was never asking you to predict tomorrow. It was inviting you to see today with greater clarity. Life has a remarkable way of revealing its greatest lessons after we stop chasing certainty. The person you love has discovered that meaningful connections are strengthened not by perfect timing, but by genuine understanding. Every experience, every pause, every unexpected turn, every unanswered question, has become part of a larger picture that only now begins to make sense. Look around your own life. How many opportunities first appeared disguised as ordinary moments? A simple conversation. A brief encounter. A thought that returned again and again until it finally demanded your attention. Those are often the moments that shape the chapters we remember most. Carry that awareness with you. Whenever doubt appears, remember that progress is rarely loud. Mountains are shaped one layer at a time. Oceans reach every shore one wave at a time. Great stories unfold one page at a time. Your own journey deserves the same patience. And if someone important enters your thoughts today, let that reminder encourage kindness, honesty, and gratitude. The future is built through the choices we make in the present, not through fear of what might happen tomorrow. As this journey comes to its final close, leave behind what no longer serves your peace. Keep your curiosity alive. Protect your hope. Welcome new possibilities with confidence, because every sunrise carries opportunities that did not exist the day before. Thank you for sharing these moments together. Until we meet again in another story, continue walking forward with courage, keep your heart open to meaningful connections, and never forget that the most extraordinary chapters often begin with one quiet decision, to believe that something beautiful is still ahead. This message may have reached its ending, but your story is only beginning. A final whisper before the curtain falls. Because sometimes the last message is the one that stays with you the longest. If these words have traveled with you from the very beginning, then you already know this story was never about chasing answers. It was about awakening a new way of seeing the journey ahead. One day, you may look back on this very moment and realize it marked a quiet turning point. Not because everything changed instantly, but because you did. The way you viewed uncertainty became calmer. The way you viewed hope became stronger. And the way you viewed tomorrow became brighter than yesterday. The person you love continues writing their own chapter, just as you continue writing yours. Every experience adds another sentence. Every decision shapes another page. Every lesson prepares the next beginning. The beauty of life is that no chapter has to be perfect for the story to become meaningful. So never underestimate the power of small steps. A kind word can echo for years. A hopeful thought can inspire a new direction. A single decision can become the beginning of an entirely different future. That is why today's message matters. Not because it promised impossible certainty, but because it reminded you that every meaningful future begins with awareness, patience, and the courage to keep moving forward. As you leave this story behind, carry one simple truth with you. The most valuable messages are not the ones that predict tomorrow. They are the ones that help you become stronger today. Keep your heart open. Keep your mind curious. Keep believing that every ending quietly prepares the next beginning. And whenever life presents another unexpected chapter, welcome it with confidence instead of hesitation, knowing that growth often arrives wrapped inside ordinary moments. Thank you for sharing this journey from the very first word to the very last. Until our paths meet again in another story, may every new sunrise remind you that hope is never out of reach, meaningful connections are always worth appreciating, and the greatest